What would you do if you found your entire family, your children's innocent faces, your own smiling reflection, staring back at you from a stranger's wallet? The glowing screen of my phone at 2 a.m. cast long shadows across our bedroom, illuminating a truth so grotesque, so utterly violating, it felt like a physical blow. It wasn't a random wallet, but his wallet. The man my wife claimed was just a colleague. A crumpled receipt for a weekend getaway to a boutique hotel in Miami, dated last month, lay beside it. My heart hammered against my ribs, a frantic drumbeat of disbelief and dawning horror. The air in our quiet suburban home in Westchester, New York, suddenly felt thin, suffocating. I zoomed in on the photo, a candid shot from our last family vacation to Santa Monica Pier, the one where Sarah had insisted on taking a spontaneous picture with the kids. Now, it was a trophy in another man's possession, a perverse memento of a life he was actively dismantling. The mystery wasn't if she was cheating, but how deep this betrayal ran, and what twisted pleasure they derived from desecrating everything I held dear. If you genuinely enjoy our stories, please subscribe to the channel. Tell us where you're from and what time it is right now. It's always fascinating to know how far our story flows. The wallet left carelessly on the passenger seat of Sarah's car, after she'd borrowed it for an errand, felt like a bomb. I'd only gone out to grab a forgotten grocery bag, and there it was, a dark leather rectangle screaming secrets. My wife, Sarah, had been different for months, distant. Her phone, once an open book, was now a fortress of passcodes and quick flips. Late nights at work events became more frequent, her excuses more elaborate, her eyes colder. I dismissed it as stress, the demands of her new marketing director role at a firm downtown on Wall Street. I was a fool, a loyal, trusting fool. The humiliation burned, a searing inferno in my gut. My wife, the woman I'd built a life with, the mother of my children, was a stranger. And this man, Mark, her colleague, whose face I now recognized from a company picnic photo Sarah had reluctantly shown me, was a smug architect of my pain. Worked at the same firm, a slick, well-dressed shark with a predatory smile. I remembered Sarah defending him once. He's just ambitious. John, don't be so judgmental. The strange behavior had started subtly. Sarah, always meticulous, began leaving her phone face down. Her once predictable schedule became erratic. She'd snap at the kids for minor infractions, then shower them with expensive gifts, a desperate attempt to assuage a guilt I now understood. One evening, I overheard a hushed phone call from the kitchen, her voice low and urgent. "No, not now. He's right here." She hung up abruptly when I walked in, feigning a casual conversation with her sister. The pieces, once scattered, were beginning to coalesce into a horrifying mosaic. I started looking. Not overtly, not with accusations, but with a quiet, methodical desperation. I checked our joint credit card statements. A pattern emerged. Small, recurring charges at a coffee shop near Mark's office in Midtown. Then larger ones at upscale restaurants in the West Village. Always on evenings, Sarah claimed to be working late. One receipt from a florist on Bleecker Street listed a dozen long-stemmed red roses. Sarah hated red roses. I found a burner phone hidden in her gym bag, a cheap prepaid device. The texts were sickeningly intimate, filled with pet names and plans for clandestine meetings. "Can't wait for Chicago next week, my love," one read, followed by a heart emoji. Chicago. She'd told me it was a mandatory sales conference at the Hyatt Regency on Wacker Drive. My stomach churned. Sarah, meanwhile, grew colder, more manipulative. She'd gaslight me, twisting my concerns into accusations of insecurity. "You're imagining things, John. You're paranoid. Maybe you need therapy." Her words were daggers, designed to make me doubt my own sanity. She'd flaunt her new expensive clothes, her designer bags, all purchased with money I now suspected was being spent on her double life. She felt untouchable, shielded by her lies and my perceived weakness. I broke. Not outwardly, not in a dramatic confrontation, but internally. The man I was, the loving husband, the devoted father, shattered into a million pieces. I spent nights staring at the ceiling, the image of Mark's wallet, our family photos seared into my mind. The pain was a physical weight, crushing my chest, stealing my breath. But beneath the agony, a cold, hard resolve began to form. I wouldn't just survive this. I would dismantle her life, piece by agonizing piece, just as she had dismantled mine. My secret mission began. I installed discreet tracking software on her car and phone. I hired a private investigator, a grizzled ex-cop named Frank, who operated out of a cramped office in a rundown building in the Bronx. Frank was efficient. His reports clinical and devastating. Photos of Sarah and Mark, hand in hand, laughing, kissing, entering and leaving hotels in Chicago, Dallas, even a weekend trip to a secluded cabin upstate near Lake Placid. The evidence piled up. Hotel bills, flight manifests, restaurant tabs, all meticulously documented. I consulted with a divorce attorney, a sharp, nonsense woman named Ms. Davies, whose office overlooked Central Park. She listened patiently, her expression unreadable, as I laid out the sordid details. "We'll build an ironclad case, Mr. Miller," she assured me, her voice calm and steady. "She won't see it coming. The traps were set. Legally, financially, socially." I quietly transferred funds from our joint accounts into a separate one, ensuring the children's future was secure. I gathered all the evidence of her financial recklessness, her lavish spending on Mark, her neglect of our shared responsibilities. I contacted her firm's HR department, anonymously at first, hinting at a serious ethical breach involving a senior executive and a married employee. I knew Mark was married too. The firm, a publicly traded company, would not tolerate scandal. The public exposure was swift and brutal. It began with the divorce papers, served to Sarah at her office, a public spectacle that sent whispers through the firm. Then came the anonymous tips to industry blogs and gossip sites. Detailing the affair, complete with redacted photos and snippets of texts, the firm launched an internal investigation. Mark was fired, his reputation in tatters. Sarah, facing a hostile work environment and the threat of legal action from Mark's enraged wife, resigned in disgrace. The courtroom in downtown Manhattan was sterile, unforgiving. Ms. Davies presented the evidence with surgical precision. Photos, the texts, the financial records, the private investigators' reports. Sarah, once so arrogant, sat pale and trembling, her carefully constructed facade crumbling. The judge, a stern woman with weary eyes, listened impassively. The divorce was granted, with full custody of the children awarded to me, and Sarah left with a fraction of what she expected, her career destroyed, her social standing obliterated. Her friends, once so eager to bask in her reflected glow, vanished. Her family, disgusted by her actions, distanced themselves. I saw her once more, months later, on a rainy Tuesday afternoon. She was working as a cashier at a small grocery store in a forgotten strip mall in Queens, her once vibrant hair dull, her eyes hollow. She didn't see me. I watched her for a moment, a ghost of the woman I once loved, now just a hollow shell. The revenge was complete, but it brought no joy, only a profound, chilling emptiness. The silence in my house now is deafening, a constant reminder of the life that was and the life that will never be again. Thank you for listening, and until next time, take care.